Hello, hello. Make sure you say hello when you pop on. We have lots to
You can just
chat about tonight. And
Caroline,
it's fine.
we have told them that for tonight they need to sit still. We're in a different spot, as you can
Yes,
tell. We
we're
have a
trying a new
little bit
spot.
different view. So our tripods are higher. They're not as stable. So we told them they have to sit still so that they don't shake the cameras too much. So,
Yes. Hello.
hey, Matthew. See Jeff and Jenny. We had a good time with them earlier this week.
Hey, Debbie.
Sandra.
Yep. Y'all keep hopping on, wave and tell us hello. I'm trying a new setup with a new view tonight so that y'all see
Coming
something
to you
different.
live from our kitchen.
That's right. We're sitting in the kitchen, so we have a lot to chat about. Oh, look, there's Claire joined from the other side of the room. We are excited tonight to be able to tell you a little bit about our last couple of weeks. I know we didn't see you last week, but then also to do a little bit of recap with you.
This was a special week for us.
Yeah, some of you may have seen that Friday marked 2 years. Hi, Janet. How are you? So Friday marked 2 years that we've been on the road, which is crazy. And so we're excited to talk through some different memories.
Kendall is watching, and Matthew's watching.
There we go.
Hello.
They must be in different rooms tonight.
Hey,
You
Teresa.
didn't make her mad, did you?
Yep. So anyway, keep hopping on, telling us hello. We are going to have to talk fast tonight. For those of you who are just jumping on, we're trying to give you a little bit of a different scenery tonight. So hello from the kitchen. Aw, sweet Ezra. Hello to Adrian and Aaron and crew. And Matthew and Kendall. They're just both hanging out with us.
Very good.
Well, good. Hey, Em. People are hopping on. Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get going. We're going to recap. We're going to quickly go over the last couple of weeks. So I think it was 2 weeks ago that we saw you. We had just gotten to Shipshewana, Indiana. For those of you who have never, Debbie and I had a discussion this week about Shipshewana. If you've never been to Shipshewana, it's a little Amish town in northern Indiana. So, I mean, the whole experience. Horse and buggy, bakeries, farms, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards.
Check.
Yeah. It's an interesting little place. Not a place you have to go all the time, but it's an interesting little place. We had good buffet food. Well, it wasn't a buffet, though. We didn't go
never
through the
went to a
buffet.
buffet.
It was a buffet restaurant that you could choose between the buffet or to order, and we ordered. But good fried chicken, you know, that kind of food. We experienced the Shipshewana flea market.
Never need to go there again.
So that was fun. But anyway, we had a fun few days with my dad and Kay. Enjoyed our time with them. And when we left them on Thursday, we moved south to the Indianapolis area. And
Yeah. So those of you who have been following along know that my parents live in the Indianapolis area, as well as my sister and her family. And so we got to spend a little bit of time with some of them, and we got to celebrate a big milestone in my mom's life. She turns 80. Actually this week, but we celebrated a little bit early. She's been celebrating.
She doesn't turn 80 this week. Is that what she?
September.
In a couple of weeks.
Yes,
we
couple
were a
weeks.
little
I'm
bit
sorry.
early, but we were all going to be together.
Yes.
Yeah. So
We
she-
celebrated early, and she spent about 10 days celebrating because
Yes.
there was family that came from actually Czech Republic back before we got there, and then they left. We came in. My aunt and uncle came in.
Well, look, Debbie Brown goes to the flea market every year.
Yeah, well, enjoy.
Kevin's out on that annual trip with you.
Yep.
I would go to that pretzel place every year.
I'll go to
though.
pizza with you, but
Anyway.
not the flea market.
Yeah, so we came south to the Indianapolis area. So super fun while we're there. The first time that we brought the RV to Indy, we really struggled to find some place to stay because, especially on Kevin's sister and parents are all kind of on the northern side of Indianapolis, and so we really struggled to find somewhere to stay. And so last year we found this couple through one of the apps and memberships that we have that have a farm out in northwest of Indianapolis. They have a farm with RV hookups. We really just kind of all fell in love with each other. They keep up with us. And so we ended up staying there about a week. And so we get to pull in on the farm, hook up the RV, full hookups. They were actually out of town this time, which we were sad we didn't get to see them. But we always enjoy their place being kind of like one of our homes. Caroline got to feed the cats. We got to start school. So lots of big things happened while we were in Indy. Celebrated Kevin's mom's birthday. Got to hang out with Kara, Kevin's sister, and one of the nieces. Got to do a lot of Kevin's aunt and uncle came from Michigan, his cousin from New York. So we just got to have a lot of good family time, do lots of good things, celebrating. We got to swing through the eye doctor while we were in Indianapolis for 2 of the girls.
Fun.
And so just a lot accomplished. Like I said, we started school, and so it was a big week.
So we wrapped up our week there, and we traveled just under 3 hours over to the Cincinnati area. And so that's where we're coming to you from tonight. We're over in Cincinnati, and we've had a great time spending a few days here, getting to make some connections. Couple of church planners, friend from when we were in seminary that was in our Sunday school class with us. We got to connect with the 2 of them over brunch yesterday.
Yes.
And so I actually went to lunch with a church planner on Friday. His children started school on Thursday. He was able to break away, and he and I had lunch on Friday. They are kind of pre-launch stage, meeting occasionally right now, gathering together a core team and continuing to meet and just build some rhythms in their team. And it was great to get to meet him, hear about kind of how he grew up and how that influenced him in moving into church planting. And so it was great to get to meet him, hang out, spend some time with him, and we may be partnering with him soon on a project that he's doing with a local school that he is partnered with. And so be looking for that. And Jared was his name, Jared Davis, and he's on the north side of Cincinnati. And then last night we got to have dinner with a church planner and his family.
So Austin and Amy, we met last time we were here. And last time we were here, they were meeting in a school, and the Sunday we were in town, we actually all went out on the playground because it was a nice morning and had church out on the playground. It was a neat memory. And so since then, they have bought a building, and they are meeting in this building, but they have a really unique setup. And so they have created a co-working space and environment, kind of in a strip mall area. I think it was maybe an old grocery store building that they have. And so it's a co-working space that people can come in during the week for Wi-Fi, office supplies, little office space, open area co-working. And then on the weekends, of course, they operate all of their church stuff. They have an auditorium in the back, and just a really neat way that they have been able to plant in this community west of Cincinnati and kind of be a service to their community. So we enjoyed seeing them last night and then going to church with them this morning.
Yeah, we had some really yummy pizza last night with them. And as you know, our tradition is we couldn't stop at dinner. We had to go find ice cream as well. We asked their son, we said, "Do you like ice cream?" And of course his answer was yes.
Yes.
And so we went and found a local place. It's called Grader's. It's kind of spread out from here now, but kind of started in the area.
Here in Cincinnati.
And
if you come to this area of the country, everybody is going to say, "Have you had Grader's?" And so,
they're also going to ask if you've had Skyline chili. And
Kevin and I, the answer to yes, we've had Skyline chili.
Once.
We never will again. So
I really want to try it before we leave, just to give it a second chance. Maybe it's better than I thought, but I doubt it.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a great night last night and good day at church today. And so we are going to head out tomorrow. So we're heading out tomorrow and heading over to Columbus, Ohio, which is just another couple hours. I guess we're actually heading up to Columbus. And so we'll
pray for us. Columbus is a hard place for me to go. Those of you who know, that's where the little college in Ohio, that's in Columbus. And so being a Michigan fan, I will probably wear my hat the whole time I'm there.
Probably so. Break out your Michigan t-shirts. People in red will start yelling OH at him anyway.
No.
So yeah, we'll spend the rest of the week in Columbus and see some different people there. Kevin's already got one connection and one meeting set up with a bunch of different planners.
Yeah, so the Sin City missionary, I've been in contact with him, and he has scheduled a lunch for as many of the guys as want to come. And so we're going to host a lunch there for them in Columbus on Tuesday. You can be praying that goes well. And we're looking for
your stats guys coming in for you.
Absolutely. We are 2-0 in the last 2 years. We won't talk about the last 22, but I'm looking forward to having that lunch. I don't know how many guys will be there, but he's invited a bunch, so I'm hoping a lot of them will show up. And I always enjoy events like that. I enjoy getting to meet all of them, but more than that, I enjoy when I'm able to help bring them together. They don't always get a lot of time together with other church planners, and so when we can provide an avenue for that to happen, they always enjoy that time together. The camaraderie that they have is special, and when they get those opportunities, it's a good thing. And so when we can provide an avenue to make that happen, we're always glad to make that happen. And so I'm excited about this week getting to...
Hey, Miss Ann. Yeah, so... it's going to be a good week. So we're kind of doing the Ohio thing this week, and then we will on Friday, we will get back into now that we've started school, we will get back into our move on Fridays, and Fridays will be the only day that we travel and move for the most part. And so Friday we will head to Pittsburgh, and then from Pittsburgh we'll head back into Canada. So it's going to be, September's going to be very eventful, lots of new stuff, and so we're excited about that. So that's kind of our, hey Hope, how are you? That's kind of our recap of this week, or the last couple weeks rather. Yeah. But we also wanted to take a little time tonight. With Friday marks 2 years since we pulled out of South Georgia, with the RV behind us, and so in doing that, we always like to kind of in the RV world they call it your nomadiversary. But
never heard that one.
When this day comes around, we did a big thing last year where we did all of our stats, and so Kevin has recalculated a lot of those, and we thought we'd share those with you. We also were going to kind of just take a quick look back of the places that we've been since last August, and then quickly run down through some. We jotted down some just core memories and lessons and things that we have learned in the last year.
Some of you are thinking, okay, that sounds like it's going to take a while. We'll try and be as quick as we can. We promise.
Yes, and along the way, though, please, if you ever have questions or are curious about something and want to know more, make sure to drop that in the comments, because we love to either go back or to answer along the way if we can. So, anyway. All right, so we're going to do our stats first?
Sure.
Let's do our stats first. Okay, so, first up.
Miles driven. We have been on the road for 69,700 miles in our 2 years, which that breaks down to almost exactly the same amount of miles in the first year and second year.
Which is crazy.
It was like 35.3 the first year, and then 34.4 the second year. So that's a lot of miles in a truck with 6 people. Just saying.
And especially, it's interesting because especially when we break down our second travel year, August to August, we had 4 months that we were grounded at the beginning of the year. Most of you remember that for our some of our RV repairs and whatnot. So anyway.
Yeah, so of those 69,000 miles, we pulled the RV just over 35,000 of those miles. So just know that we get 9 to 10 miles to the gallon when we're pulling the RV, and start doing the math on that, and fuel is a major, major expense in our, it's a major line item in our budget. So
yes, so that makes out for 730 days on the road. And this is the interesting, and we'll say in 48 states. So we have made, I think most of you have probably seen, but we have made all 48 states. And so we've been in all 48 of the lower continental United States in those 2 years, which is mind-blowing. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is the part that I think is so interesting, though.
Yeah, so in the first year, we met with 95 missionaries and church planners. And so to date, for the 2 years, we have now met with 265. So you can tell things have begun to gain traction. We've begun to meet with more people. The word has gotten out. People have responded to us more. We've had a lot of meetings set up before we got places. And so
super
that's been
cool
great.
the way that number, I mean, that was 2.5 times. And anyway, just neat the way that is. You know, and a lot of you that have followed along from the very beginning have, you know, heard us talk about the verse in Isaiah that we have kind of gone back to over and over and over again, where it says that the Lord, to go before us, to move, to level mountains, to know that, I'm going to butcher, I should have just gotten it on my phone, but my phone is right there. Anyway, so that thing, though, just that the Lord would go before us is something we prayed from the very beginning. And so to know that we've been able to make contact with 265 different pastors and their families and different pastors and missionaries and their families is just very humbling that Lord would use this season of our lives in that way. So along that line, we've attended 80 different churches.
That's a lot of churches.
So interesting. You know, we often in the beginning we kept kind of a tally, and we would always talk about we've been to church in a hotel, in schools, in parks, in playgrounds, dance studios, bakeries, art galleries, community centers, you know, all the different things. And that's just such a testament of...
We added a new one today in a co-work space. So.
There you go. It's just such a testament of how the church is the people, you know, and so it doesn't really matter the location. It's that community of people that come together to support each other and to meet together weekly. So anyway.
Many of you know that Sin Cities are kind of our target areas, and then we meet people all in between all of those cities as well. But we have been able to hit 30 of the 32 Sin Cities. By the end of September, we'll have all 32 of the North American cities. And so we're excited about that.
So our last two to hit are in September in the other side of Canada. That will be in Canada for Toronto and in Montreal. And so that'll be our last two of the Sin Cities, which is crazy. So all 32. Okay, I think that was all of the majority of our stats.
Yep.
Just to do a quick recap, I'm just going to flip through. So in August of last year, when we celebrated our first anniversary, we were outside of Portland, Oregon, and we our live that week was from the base of Mount Hood, where we were staying outside of Portland. And so from there, we spent 6 weeks in California, and came all the way down the coast of the West Coast and through California. Went to Las Vegas, to Denver, to Kansas City, to St. Louis, through Tennessee, to our favorite stop in Tennessee. Which is at Matthew and Kendall's, and then home for the holidays. And so then, as most of you remember, we ended up being home for the holidays all the way until the middle of March, as we worked through RV repairs and different things. And so after we launched out this year, we left in March and headed west. We did Alabama, Mobile. Well, Mobile is Alabama, I guess. New Orleans, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Albuquerque, Phoenix and Tucson, Page and Zion National Park, Salt Lake City, Idaho Falls and Boise, back to Portland, Oregon, then to Seattle, then into Canada. We did.
Y'all tired yet?
We did Vancouver, Banff, Edmonton, Calgary, and then in the middle of all that, we had a jaunt where we all flew to Georgia. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Then Glacier National Park, Bismarck, North Dakota, Wall, South Dakota, then the Ranch, which is in South Dakota, then on to Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, Chicago, Illinois, Indiana. So we did Shipshewana and Indianapolis, and now we're in Cincinnati. So how about that for a year's worth of travel? So it's just crazy to go back and look at that. And to think about how many places that we have moved and gone. Stevie asked, let's go back to this before we start into this. And yes, Matthew, that song is so appropriate. I've been everywhere, man. Stevie asked when we're going to be in New York City for the carnival. And so New York City, we arrive in New York City the first week of October. And so we're super excited. The carnival is the first full weekend of October. And so we arrive. We are excited to be, we're going to be joined by a mission trip team from South Georgia to help us at the carnival. And so we're all volunteering at the carnival. We're super excited. It's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, so over the holidays, we were able to connect with a Sunday school class in Americus, and they're bringing a team of 9 to join us to work at the carnival in October. And so we're excited to be able to work alongside them, be able to be back in New York City. We love the city. The girls, it's one of their top places. They love the people that we've met there, the ministry we've gotten to do there, and they just love the city. So,
okay, we jotted down a few. Are we doing okay on time? We're okay on time. We jotted down a few top kind of memories and places from our last year, and so we were just kind of hit on those briefly. One of the first things that we said, or one of the big things for us this year, was going into Canada, and we knew that was going to be a big thing on our agenda this year. And we'll talk in a minute about just getting our passports and how we saw God's timing and provision in that. But going into Canada was a super fun experience. It's the first time the girls have been out of the country, and first time any of us had really explored Canada, and then so it ended up being just a super fun learning experience for us all. So we got to do Vancouver, Banff, and Edmonton and Calgary. So we were in 2 different provinces. We were in BC, British Columbia, and Alberta. And so we're looking forward to going back into Canada on the east side in September. So
yeah, and the Send City missionaries in Canada have been very welcoming. It's been exciting. I think they've been excited to have us. They've gone before us in a lot of ways and made some connections for us, helped us line up meetings with families, and so that made Canada a lot of fun ministry-wise because we were able to meet with a lot of families, and that's probably our favorite thing to do. I always enjoy getting to go and have time with the pastors, but when we can get our families together, we love doing that together as a family.
One of our other big highlights that we all agreed was our week that we got to spend back in July on at Chunkawache Ranch. We've talked a lot about that, about the special place that it now holds in our hearts. It is one of the Sin Relief Ministry Centers and is located on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, in the southern part of South Dakota. And one of their the biggest thing that they do is day camp during the summer for kids ages they can come starting at 4 years old all the way through high school. They have many other things that they do as well in their community, a wellness center. Their big mission is just to provide everyone in their community access to a restored life, and they really are doing that in so many different ways. And it's been our privilege and honor to serve alongside them, to see them minister, and to see the way that the Lord is using them on a daily basis to impact people's lives, especially in the Native American community that they're in the Native American culture. So it was really cool to be there. We got to be there for a week this year. So anything else about the ranch? I think that was one of our highlights.
It was great. Yeah. We all enjoyed getting to do various aspects of ministry there, and just getting to plug in and help them wherever they needed help.
A couple other things that we'll just gloss over, kind of, that we jotted down. Our 6 weeks in California was somewhere that Kevin grew up in California, so he had been there. The girls and I had not. It had been a long time since Kevin had really explored, and so we just got to see all kinds of cool things coming down the West Coast, and those were great memories. Another thing we jotted down was our opportunity this summer to meet college. The Gen Send, we've talked about the North American Mission Board's summer mission program with college students, and we've gotten to meet college students from all over, and it has been such an honor and privilege to be able to meet them and get to know these kids, to see their heart for service and their commitment to the gospel, and see them fleshing that out, and so it's been really cool.
Yeah, and all of them that we got to meet as a family, they were all female. I did meet with one in Calgary that was a male, but the rest were female, and that was cool for me as a father to expose our girls to some girls that are a step ahead in life, and how they're using their time and their summers to serve the Lord.
And I really have to remind myself they really are only a little small step ahead. One of them was like, "Oh, you remind me of my mom," and she gave me a big hug, and I was like, "Oh." And Chloe said, "Mama, they're only a couple years older than me," and I was like,
Casey
"Oh."
had just had a birthday that week too.
So anyway,
a big birthday.
One of the biggest things, and this will be a good thing to transition kind of from memories into different lessons, some funny and some serious, but just the biggest thing that we have talked about, gone back to, that has impacted us from 2023 so far is God's provision for us, for our ministry, and the timing in that. Do you want to keep going, or you?
Yeah. So. Many of you, if you've been following along, you know that kind of early in the year before we left, we weren't sure how much longer we were going to be able to sustain our ministry just financially. And so we were trusting the Lord. We were going to hit the road, and whenever we needed to stop, we would stop and come back and figure out what was next. But we trusted. We had a lot of places we wanted to go, meetings we wanted to have, people we wanted to see. And in a matter of about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, there in March, God totally provided for the rest of our year, or so we thought at the time, and so that was super exciting. It was a great lesson for us. We felt like, golly, we've been grounded in Georgia, having to get these repairs done, one thing or another, and all the while God was working behind the scenes to pull together the finances we needed to move forward for the year.
And you know, even for those of us who've been believers for, you know, a large portion of our lives, and you know, we know that God's always at work, but sometimes it's that daily reminder to remind our hearts and to remind ourselves that God's always at work in the background. We might not be able to see what's happening, but God's always at work in the background, and we have to trust His timeliness. And so that was a huge thing. I think just that settling on us of God's been at work in the background, and it's, you know, our job is just to trust His timeliness. So.
Yeah, and so even, you know, I started looking at our budget here a week or so ago, and looking at, okay, like we mentioned, our contacts have ramped up. The pace at which we have been able to meet with people has gone up. We had tons of meetings in Canada with families, and there's Caroline. Hello.
All right.
And so with that, the expense of meals and taking families out, taking guys out to lunch or to play top golf or whatever it may be, that has been much higher than we anticipated, and
which is a good thing.
It's a great thing. And I actually had the conversation last week. You know, what happens? You're coming close to the end of your budgeted money, and I said, God's going to provide something. And even this weekend, we got a gift from a family that we were in touch with, and they just said, "We love your story. We want to help support your ministry." And so with their gift, it takes that worry off the table. We'll be able to continue on through this year and continue to take pastors out and not have to worry about pulling money from somewhere else to make it happen. And so it's just encouraging when people hear what we're doing and kind of catch the vision of what we're trying to accomplish, and they want to be a part of it. And so that was a super big encouragement. But it's also a testament to how the Lord uses our tribe to make things happen. And so encouraging.
So some less serious things. You know, we got rid of our table. That's a lesson we learned. We really didn't need that big table because we're all together 24/7. We like to eat outside when the weather's nice, and so we left our table at the ranch and the wellness center where it can be used as something more efficient than a dumping ground for our stuff. We learned this year that living in an RV stationary is not as fun as living in an RV moving around. So when we were grounded for a while, it felt tighter in here.
We also learned that this little thing behind us can bake cookies, bake brownies.
Not as good as the
Not
oven.
as good as the oven.
But in the absence of our oven, this has done the trick for us. It's done the trick.
They all had comments about that one.
Yes.
They're all waiting for me to fix the stove, the oven. And it's gas, and I'm just a little bit nervous. I've got the part. I just have to bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah, he did get the part. So
I got the part. I got a part. I hope it's the part that I need.
One of the other interesting things that we jotted down to that we have has really been a theme this year is just how many international pastors and families that we've gotten the opportunity to know. These are people that Caroline just walked by.
It looked like an earthquake. Yes.
These are people that, in some instances, are being sent to America as missionaries from their home countries. And so it's been humbling to see them come to America to intersect with people of their own, from their own countries, of their own heart languages, that they're able to form community with and minister to. And it's been fascinating. I think there's so much that I had no clue about as far as people coming to America and how many different nationalities, ethnicities were represented all across our country.
Yeah, it's been super encouraging. We've had a much greater response from that segment of the church planners in this last really 5 months than we had even prior to that. We have had some, but the last 5 months, that's really ramped up as well. Matthew had a question in the last 2 years.
How many tire changes?
How many
on the truck and the RV?
Tire changes on the truck and RV? We've had 2 on the RV, both of them. One of them I had to change, and then we got new tires. And the other one, we had a flat tire, and they were able to just plug it, and we were on our way. So I feel blessed. We had more than that on our 2-week vacation when we rented an RV back in 2020. So
yeah, that
we
was
had 3 in 2 weeks. So
and that must be Matthew. Wish I was there to help. I wish Matthew was here to help too. Oh, he just said this is Matthew, by the way. I read it and I was like, what is Amanda going to help with? Oh, it's Matthew. He's going to help with the oven. I wish he was here to help too. Because Caroline thinks Mr. Matthew can fix anything. And we agree.
You could come to Columbus and help. You probably like Columbus about as much as I do.
There you go. Steve
I like
says,
the people in Columbus, though.
You haven't had to turn the AC off, which when you use the microwave, not at this spot. We have had to do that before, though, but not at this spot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, in Canada, there's no 50 amp spots.
Very
It's
few.
all 30 amps. So, anyway. That kind of concludes. We've kept y'all long enough. It's 8:35.
Another lesson real quick. Geese are everywhere. They may call them Canadian geese, but we have seen them literally everywhere. They follow us wherever we go.
Y'all know how much Kevin likes geese.
I hate geese.
But before we
Sorry.
go, though, looking ahead, so when Stevie asked that question, I thought we really need to we'll give a quick snippet of looking ahead. So we said we're going to be in Ohio, and then Pittsburgh. We'll finish up in Ohio, go to Pittsburgh, then be in Canada for September. When we leave Canada, we will head across and hit Boston and then New York City and be in New York City for the carnival. Here's an interesting thing about New York City and an opportunity for you for this year, for those of you who might be interested. So in New York City, there is one campground. We say that loosely because it's a parking lot with water and electric hookups. It is an awesome place that we'll be going back to for the 3rd time. It's great that we can go to New York City and that we can connect with pastors in all the different boroughs. It's the only way we can do that. We would never be able to go rent hotels, and in order to get in the city, the fact that we have access to this RV park there in the city is phenomenal. That being said, it is the cost of that RV park in New York City is about 3 times the cost of a normal campground for us per night. And so we really, I really work really hard to keep our lodging costs to as much of a minimum as I can. I feel like I'm doing great if I can get full hookups for $50 or less. Just to give you some perspective, and this campground in New York City is $149 a night. And so it's always a huge struggle for us because that's the only way we can get to all the different people that are in New York City. And we've made so many amazing relationships all over the city. And so that's the only way we can get to those people. But it's always a huge struggle for us to swallow the pill of, okay, how long do we stay? What is a wise use of, as far as stewardship, and paying for that campground. And so that being said, last year we had someone generously sponsor the entire week for us and take care of that stay. This year, because the carnival falls on the weekend and we have a mission trip team coming, we are looking to try to stay in the city 10 to 14 days in order to be able to see everybody that we want to be able to see. We do have one person who has offered to sponsor part of it. But if that's something that you would be interested in doing, is in just sponsoring a night, sponsoring a couple of nights, that would be hugely helpful and a huge blessing to us, to allow us to go in and do that. And it might be quite so much of a financial blessing. So if that's something that the Lord would lay on your heart to do, or would something that would interest you just to sponsor a night, reach out to us. We would be appreciative of that.
Yeah.
Right now we're set to arrive in New York City on October the 4th. So that gives you some context. So anyway, I just wanted to say that at the end. So
yeah, we've had you almost 40 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
So we appreciate those of you who have hung with us for the entirety of the evening. There you go,
the entirety. Make sure to comment, let us know that you watched, even those people who were watching the replay. Share our video. We love doing this on Sunday nights and catching up with everybody. And if you're interested too, another place to always remember, a couple other ways that you can keep up with us. So we do a newsletter monthly that goes out in the first week of the month usually. And so if you're interested, if you don't get that already, make sure that you hop over to our website. At the very top, you can click join and put in your email address, and it'll put you right on the email list and get that newsletter. The other thing is, if you're interested in the travel side of the things that we see as we go, Kevin and Caitlin have been working a lot on our YouTube channel and have a lot of our travel stuff updated. And so there's new videos coming out.
But I also just posted tonight at 7 o'clock a 2-year recap video. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's got all of our contacts that not all of them, a lot of the pictures of people that we've met along the way. Haven't remembered to take pictures of all of them. I wasn't able to get them all in there.
It's a large percentage.
It's
just a ton of
cool.
pictures.
Yeah. So our YouTube channel is the same as all of our other channels, Through the Eyes of Our Tribe. So if you go to YouTube, type that in, it'll take you to our channel, and you can subscribe there. Then you'll get notifications when we post other stuff. But go take a look at that video. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. And as usual, if you have any questions or thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out or put it in the comments. We love to interact with you. So we hope you have a great week. We hope all of our Georgia friends do not melt. When my dad, who is a farmer and who's lived his whole life outside, complains about the heat, I know it's hot. So we hope you people aren't melting. We have gotten into the 90s today in Ohio, so we're hoping it comes right back your way. So anyway.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Y'all have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.